Charles Dickens, in his book A Tale of Two Cities, begins by saying, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." The ending of a decade is a time where we can all look back and see the best of those times. But when you look ahead, the truth is, none of us knows whether it will be the best or the worst of times. I was born in 1959, and that was the ending of one decade, but the beginning of a new one. Journey with me back to 1959. In that year, our nation was standing at a crossroads and had the opportunity to turn a corner that would shape its destiny and influence the world. Let's compare that time with today. 2009. Our nation is again standing at a crossroads, and as it begins a new decade, we have a chance to shape our world. We don't know whether it will be the best or the worst of times, but I believe we can shape our destiny. In 1959, our nation was standing at a crossroads, and we could look back and see the previous decade of the 50s that was filled with peace and prosperity. But as we turned the corner to the 1960s, all that was ahead of us as a nation were times of turbulence. The civil rights movement was gaining strength as people seized control of their own destiny as they dealt with the issue of race. Martin Luther King, in a speech given in 1963 in Washington, D.C., said this, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed, that all men are created equal." 1959 was the ending of one decade, but it was the beginning of a new one, where people shook hands with destiny and changed their world. So here we are at 2009, 50 years later, standing at a crossroads. We can look back and see the previous decade of prosperity. But as you and I turn the corner and face a new decade, we're faced with the greatest economic crisis our nation has seen in years. We are crying out for solutions, for change, for hope. We have seen the rescue packages for the rich, but what about prosperity again for the people? And so, we have elected a president who promises change. 2009 is a year where we as a nation are standing at a crossroads, and we have the chance again to shape our destiny. President Obama, in his inaugural speech, reminds us as a nation, this is our confidence, the knowledge that God calls on us to shape our uncertain destiny. As a nation, we must remember that we are a city on a hill. Our light must be lit with the flame of liberty, fanned with the wind of justice for all, and shone out with confidence to a world looking for hope. His name was Philip. He was angry, seething, always upset inside. No one could seem to understand him. The night before his senior year of high school, he ran away from home. When he did come back 6 months later, he dropped out of school and spent the next 10 years in a haze of drugs. He had a voice inside of him. He had ideas, feelings, emotion, and potential. The problem was he couldn't communicate these things to the people and the world around him. It would be years before he finally found his voice. Each of us have a voice. We have ideas, feelings, emotions, and potential. Each of us have the unique opportunity to influence people and the world around us. But we cannot do this unless we develop our communication skills. As we look at what the experts in the field say, we're going to hear important things. But what is really important today is for us to realize what we're talking about is very personal. Our values. We're going to talk about the need to communicate. We're also going to examine what it means to learn to communicate. But most importantly, I want you to imagine how your world can be different because of your voice. We need to communicate. In fact, our future depends on it. Let me give you a couple of examples. Jobs are becoming scarcer. In a newspaper article in the Voice of America newspaper, dated December 16, 2008, the author states that once there was a time when graduating from a university was time for celebration. But with today's economic crisis, students face difficulties entering the workforce. It's an anxious time for many. It's also an anxious time for many of us because of the social and environmental concerns that we see all around us. These two issues and many others just like it demand for us to be able to communicate. Communication skills are the key to our success in dealing with our future. The above mentioned article, Economic Crisis Impact on College Graduates, goes on to say, one reason managers see good writing and speaking skills as top hiring priorities is that organizational efficiencies are best achieved by those individuals who can articulate organizational goals well, are best explain to others how to reach those goals. Whether you're in business or working to affect social change, if the people you are talking to can't understand your goals because of your poor communication skills, they will not be persuaded of your position. Jay Genslendorf puts it very bluntly in a Journal of Business article entitled Executives and Academics' Perceptions on the Need for Instruction in Written Persuasion, when he says this: in business, you're either persuasive or a loser. We need good communication skills if we're going to face the challenges of our future. But what does it mean when we say we need to learn communication skills? It means three things specifically. We need to, number one, learn how to think clearly and openly, always knowing what our central focus and purpose is. Second, learning to communicate means that we need to write skillfully and introspectively. This only comes with practice and focus and training. And third, learning to communicate means that we learn to speak with clarity and purpose. Once we have learned how to think clearly and openly, write skillfully and with introspection, our voice takes on real passion and power. These are important skills, but the driving reason to learn them is personal. How can your world be different because of your voice? We need to believe that one person can make a difference. In a Toronto Star newspaper article dated November 14th, 2008, Daphne Gordon writes an article entitled 18 Minutes to Change the World. In it, she says, Eva Vertez, a 23-year-old science superstar from Hamilton, has radical ideas about how to cure cancer. There's a need to take a new approach, says the Princeton grad, who is now working as a cancer researcher at the Weill Cornell Medical College. He's just one of many participants at a conference where each person has 18 minutes to share how their idea can change the world. Why can't you be one person that makes a difference? I have seen glimpses of your passions and dreams. I've seen Michelle's passion about teaching, Rosal's passion about writing, Sarah's concern about the disadvantaged, Dean's dreams about being a sportscaster. Every one of us have dreams and passions. We need to ask ourselves the question, who is the one person who has made a difference in our life? Why can't we be that one person in someone else's? Learning how to communicate means that the world finally hears our voice. Each of us will face a time when we need to know how to think clearly and openly, to write skillfully and with introspection, and to speak with clarity and purpose. December 24th, 2004, my late wife found out that she had 2.5 years to live. What got us through that difficult time were notes and cards of encouragement, especially from my older brother. You see, my older brother's name is Philip. For years, he ran a small home remodeling business, and he'd be the first to tell you that during those years, that writing and public speaking skills would be at the bottom of his list of priorities to learn. And yet, it was his expressive notes of encouragement that got me through that valley of darkness. After my wife's death, he wrote me this note. I often think of the last year and what you and Joyce helped us all to become. I, in particular, have truly found a new voice. I am willing to share with others the thoughts and feelings once known only to me. I have grown at the expense of the loss of one we all loved. Communication is learning how to take the thoughts and feelings known only to you and share them with the world. My challenge to you is to take every opportunity you have to sharpen your skills, because there's someone out there that needs to hear your voice.
Okay, I forgot to bring my timer.
That's what we were just like, oh God.
That was 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was 8 minutes. That's not what it was.